Hello and welcome back everybody. Today we'll be talking about processionary moths. The processionary moth is, as the name itself suggests, a fairly ugly brown-colored moth belonging to the group of insects called Lepidoptera. There are two types of processionary moths, the pine processionary moth and the oak processionary moth. The moths derive their name from the fact that caterpillars move in long lines, resembling a procession. The caterpillars feed on tree foliage, pine needles in the case of the pine processionary moth, and oak leaves in the case of the oak processionary moth. In some cases, defoliation can be so severe as to cause a tree to die. But the moths do more than damage the trees. They also cause harm to humans and animals. The caterpillars have hairs that contain a toxin. Contact with the hairs causes an itching rash, but can also lead to more severe symptoms, such as respiratory distress. Both types of processionary moths come from northern Africa and southern Europe, but are increasingly expanding to higher latitudes because of the importation of colonized plants and global warming. The life cycle of the pine processionary moth is as follows. The moths mate in summer and then deposit their eggs high in the trees. The caterpillars hatch and fall and create silken nests in order to protect themselves from predators and the cold. In spring, they leave the trees and bury themselves on the ground, where they undergo the final transformation into moth. The life cycle of the oak processionary moth is similar but timed slightly differently. The moths mate in summer and then deposit their eggs in the trees. The caterpillars hatch in spring and create the typical silken nests. Pupation, aka the final transformation into moths, occurs in the trees rather than in the ground. Once the caterpillars have become moths, the cycle repeats. Here are some interesting facts about the processionary moth. Caterpillars feed at night. During the day, they mostly stay in their nests. They will move during the day if they haven't had enough food and need to look for new trees to colonize. The adult moth doesn't feed at all and only lives 1 to 2 days. During this period, the female moth can lay up to 300 eggs and the male moth can fly for up to 30 kilometers. Although processionary caterpillars are very well protected against predators, some animals have found a way to work around the urticating hair. Hoopoes eat the processionary pupae, that is the developmental stage preceding transformation into moth, whereas bats and nightjars prefer the adult moths. Tits, and that's a type of bird, shake the caterpillars to remove the hair before eating them. Cuckoos eat the caterpillars whole but regurgitate the urticating hair afterwards. The red ant, certain types of bugs, and beetles also prey on the processionary moth. As the processionary moth has become a plague in many places, humans are trying their very best to get rid of them. One way is to manually remove the nest or use vacuum cleaners specifically designed for this purpose. Another possibility is to use broad-spectrum insecticides or growth inhibitors, which are, however, both non-selective and very toxic for the environment. There is also a bacterium, Bacillus thuringiensis, which produces a lethal toxin that is activated in the processionary gut. Pheromone traps that disorient and attract male moths have been devised to prevent mating and reproduction. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe.